Welcome back, dweebs. Now, I have a question to dive right into the holiday spirit. I guess season is what I should have said. But maybe you want to dive into a spirit. Lucky, I'm going to start with you. My question
Jameson.
is Die Hard a Christmas movie in your book?
Yes.
I like it. That is also my answer. But, Kelsey, what about you? Do you have an opinion on this?
I've seen Die Hard once with Lucky, and yeah, if Die Hard can be a Christmas movie if you guys want it to be. I honestly don't see why I should fight that. Why is it a problem?
Right?
Let people have their Christmas movies.
That is a very good point. And now I've got a round two, but this time I'm going to Kelsey first. Batman Returns, Christmas movie. That is the Michael Keaton sequel. So that's the Danny DeVito,
Ooh,
Michelle Pfeiffer,
you know what?
Christopher Walken.
Yes, and I think I need to watch that this year. That's one of my favorites. That I grew up on that. So yeah, absolutely. That was Catwoman too, right? Michelle Pfeiffer's Catwoman. Oh yeah, that's a Christmas movie. I remember that big ass tree with those crazy ass ornaments. That was wonderful. Tim Burton all the way.
My favorite.
Tim Burton most of the time.
Tim Burton when it comes to Christmas movies. He's made two of my favorite Christmas movies, The Nightmare Before Christmas being the other.
Yes, same.
Very, very much a Christmas guy. What about you? What are you thinking Batman Returns on your Christmas list?
Definitely. It's the same it's the same reason that I'll classify Die Hard as a Christmas movie. It's central to the fucking plot. Without the Christmas party, there is no Hans Gruber. You know, maybe he would have waited for the St. Patty's Day potluck.
So
Maybe
now
Oktoberfest?
Maybe. But he'd have had to wait
Is
a
that-
whole year again.
Is that nationalist?
Since September.
I didn't intend for it to be.
yeah, when else would be the most appropriate time of year to watch that movie? Fucking Groundhog's Day, because fuck that movie.
The argument, I believe, is that because it was a summer blockbuster and it's a summer action movie, that it's not a Christmas movie just because it takes place on Christmas. But I
And see, that's bullshit.
agree.
Because they released it in the summer, so they weren't competing against Scrooge.
Also, isn't Scream coming out in February? So by that logic,
It's a Valentine's Day
is
movie.
Scream
Yes.
now a Valentine's Day
Yep,
movie?
it's a love
Deadpool
story
is.
now. It's a rom-com.
Well, all right. You guys have a lovely Valentine's Day with that one.
You're going to see a bunch of,
All right.
I think I downloaded the wrong Scream memes.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
The
Now,
first Deadpool movie was a Valentine's Day movie.
wonderful. We should watch that on Valentine's
That
Day.
is-
I'm down.
I'm
was
down
that was that an early season release like that? It was
Mhm.
it was, wasn't it?
Yeah.
That's right.
Now,
Ryan Reynolds that was like a big part of the campaign.
That it was
going to
be a date movie, right? Yeah,
that's
'cause they even
Valentine's Day
made-
movie,
they
'cause
made
it
some
came
jokes
out on
ab-
Valentine's Day.
Yeah.
And that's you get the little montage with him and Vanessa going through, the year. She's his calendar girl.
I do remember that now. Yeah.
Yeah.
I remember being
Happy International Women's Day.
pretty weird being a single dude in the theater for that one.
Hey babe, why don't you throw on that strap on and we'll make a superhero baby.
not now. We're in the middle of a podcast.
Yeah, the green room is not set up for that.
No.
Maybe later.
Yeah.
Maybe later. But
Yeah, I know a place.
on that note, what's your favorite Christmas movie?
My favorite Christmas movie. This is a tough one because in a sense I kind of have inherited so I'll give you my inherited one first because I'm going to have to let this marinate, and it's not fair to take two right off the bat. So I have watched It's a Wonderful Life as part of a family Christmas tradition for the better part of about 25 years or so. So it has over time become one of my favorites by default. But it was not initially. It was something that my dad thrust upon us all, kind of kicking and screaming. It took us some years to be like, oh yeah, I have appreciation for this movie. It started as like, oh yeah, it's this. We got to watch Dad's movie now. Like everybody, I got my run of the Santa Claus, and then got to watch It's a Wonderful Life. So that's a big one. What about you, Lou?
So I wasn't allowed to have Christmas as a child.
Fair.
So
Or
it's hard-
movies.
It's actually hard for me to pick one.
I have 2 as well, if that helps.
Excluding Die Hard, obviously, because that's yes. If we're talking traditional Christmas movie, oh God, I'm totally blanking. Ralphie gets the BB gun.
Christmas Story.
A
Yeah.
Christmas Story.
Yep.
A Christmas Story. I used to watch that as a child, growing up, vicariously living through it a little. And National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation.
Very nice.
Very good. Yeah, those
As
are
an
both in
adult.
the top 5 for sure.
Yeah.
Grew up with both of those heavily being played. Yeah. So what about you, Kelsey? What was your favorite one?
Well, I have 2 as well, but do you want to share your second one first?
Yeah, I'll throw out there because actually my second one was A Christmas Story, that was kind of why I wanted to save it because like this is probably going to be on someone else's list. So, but also another one that I really enjoy is Jingle All the Way.
I love that movie.
Yeah,
I
so
love that one growing up. Poor Arnold Schwarzenegger.
yeah. And what was the other one you just mentioned, Lou? Because that was another one I grew up on. Not Christmas Story. What was the other one?
National Lampoon.
National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation. Yes. That-
Shitter's full.
Yep. That was the one probably growing up as a young kid. That was my favorite with the shitters full thing and the weird dinner scene just
Oh my
burned
God,
so
you
many
love this.
memories. But yeah, I also did the living vicariously through Ralphie with the BB. It was mainly because I also could not have a BB gun.
Though.
Yeah.
So, you got give and take right there. There's a house like 5 miles north of here, maybe 6 miles north of here where we're at presently, and they have a fucking RV
They do. It's awesome.
in their front yard, and a mannequin dude dressed up like the fucking like Eddie.
That
And
is phenomenal,
it says-
yeah.
it's on their front lawn.
Yeah, and it's supposed to mimic the shitter's fool. I wanted to stop there and be like, hey, here's a bunch of fucking candy canes. I love your fucking. You guys win Christmas.
Yeah,
You guys
here's a
win
bunch of
Christmas
stuff.
Ornaments. This is fucking amazing.
Another one in a neighborhood not far from here has a similar. It's got the Grinch taking the lights down off the house. So they have a very, very intricate, and they've got a Whoville sign in the yard. And so on the right side of the house is the driveway, and there's a bunch of bushes, and there are lights strung around everything. So like it's,
Nice.
and then along the top of the house, there's a colorful light stream that jets down right into the front yard. And then you see there's like a stand-up Grinch sign with the little dog, and they've got the lights wrapped around the Grinch's hand, so it looks like he's yanking the lights off the house and he's starting. And it's cool because over by the Grinch there's less lights everywhere else, so it looks like he's already taken some off and that he's
Nice.
making his way over across the yard. Very well done. So I love those. You see those neighborhoods, where they're like turn to this AM channel and the whole neighborhood has done. It's a really cool thing. I would
Yes.
not have the energy to do it, so I would never want to live in one of those neighborhoods. But those of you who do that, you're goddamn troopers, right? You're heroes of the holiday season, and you deserve recognition. So here's your tip of the cap from us. But I still didn't hear your favorite holiday movie, right?
Yes.
Right?
My top one, it's kind of a tie, but honestly, I can never get enough of Elf. Fucking love that movie.
That's another
I
good
don't
one.
know why. Like, it's just every part of that movie is good. I mean, it's a little on the corny side, but aren't all Christmas movies a little on the corny
little.
side?
Yes.
Actually, my second favorite one is not really on the corny side. It's pretty awesome, even though it has Chris Brown in it. It's called This Christmas. It's also got Idris Elba, and I'm terrible with names, so I'm not going to be able to list off anybody else. But it's about a family at Christmas time, and they all have their different struggles. And I just really loved that one when it came out. So try and watch that every year. But it's been a year or two.
What's the? Now I'm starting to try to think outside the box of some. Do you remember the random Christmas comedy? It was like The Night Before or something. Do you know what I'm
Yeah.
talking about? It's like
That
a
shit's
Christmas office
funny.
party. You guys seen that one?
I have it.
I don't know
Yeah.
if I've
It
seen
has
that
Seth
one.
Rogen, Sam Wilson, and Jonathan Joseph Gordon-Levitt.
Joseph
Anthony
Gordon-Levitt.
Mackie. I totally blanked on his real name.
Joseph Gordon-Levitt, you mean?
Yeah.
I I like
Oh,
him.
did I say Lovitz or something weird?
It's okay. No worries.
Oh yeah,
I
Yeah,
just,
yeah, yeah.
Phil Hartman's best friend. Yeah,
Right?
you got John Levitz in there. Yeah,
I figured it could be somebody I didn't know.
It's
both great
fucking
talents.
hilarious. That's a funny fucking movie.
We'll have to watch that.
Joseph's parents die early in the movie.
Ooh, rough.
It is. I mean, but that's just the beginning of it. And it's these three friends, and they all promise to spend Christmas together every year. It's like this big tradition. They have like a set fucking routine that they go through. And I'm not going to say anything else. Anthony Mackie's great. He's a football player. Seth Rogen is very much a expectant father, and Joseph Gordon-Levitt is. Did I say it again? Fuck me.
Now
No
I can't
worries.
remember what's correct. It's
Joseph Gordon-Levitt.
there we go.
Levitt.
Yep.
I
There you
I
go.
had a pretty big crush on him in
No,
high
that's
school.
fair.
Call him Robin.
And Robin, he was just kind of stuck. He didn't really get past that, you know. I mean, his parents died when he was maybe a sophomore or junior in high school, maybe senior. So I think he might have been 18. So he was legally allowed to be on his own, but still had to finish high school or whatever.
Yeah, you're not prepared at that age, even if most kids are not prepared, and if they are, it's through trauma. So
yeah,
still not okay.
and
That's how you get Jeffrey Dahmer.
it's a really really good movie.
It is a good movie, and I wanted to take a second. I thought of this while we were talking about some alternative Christmas movies, because we've talked about Violent Night, which is something that I think by the end of the year I will have watched and will be able to give some feedback on.
Same.
There's another movie on Shudder right now called Christmas Bloody Christmas. It's directed by Joe Begos, who is responsible for a little movie called VFW, which is a favorite of mine. It's sort of a retro 80s stylized take on a zombie. It's like a sci-fi zombie movie, but
Nice.
they're not real zombies. It's more like they're on the kind of drug that makes them act like. It's a very very cool story. It's got it's got a lot of older actors because of the movie VFW. It's about old men at a VFW defending.
Okay.
So it's a bunch of war vets defending themselves from a horde of tweaker zombies. It's a very cool
Sounds
premise.
Wild.
It's got the bad instructor from Cobra Kai, and also from the main from the movies way back in the day. What's that guy's name? Martin something. But he's in it. The guy who plays the blind guy in those horror movies. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah,
where he's the super badass, but he's blind. You know what I'm talking about? They've done
and they,
two of those.
Try to raid his house or whatever. And he
Yes.
just murks them all.
Yes, he's in it. So it's a very, very cool, very good cast. But anyway, so the same guy who came up with that very fun, very cool movie VFW came out with Christmas Bloody Christmas. A friend of mine has watched it on Shudder, and it comes highly regarded. But I wanted to make the rule of three. You know, I wanted to point out my favorite Christmas-themed horror movie, which is actually sort of unrecognized as the first real slasher, and that is Black Christmas. The original Black Christmas came out, I believe, a little bit before Halloween, or maybe I can't remember, but similar time. Very, very well done movie in my opinion. It's been remade in the early 2000s, and as with everything in that era, it's kind of weird, kind of too much grungy butt rock in my opinion, and a really weird incest side plot that didn't need to be there, that didn't need to be
just like
added.
Godfather
Yeah,
3.
just gets added for some reason,
That's always going to
Um,
put you off, right?
yeah,
bet.
yeah, and so if you want to know, spoiler alert for a movie that came out 40 something years ago, but okay. So if you don't know what the movie Black Christmas is, for those of you who are looking for maybe a meme that might help you understand the importance of that movie, if you've ever heard the phrase, "The call is coming from inside the house,"
Yes.
That's Black Christmas. That is
Oh.
that horror movie where it's a movie about sorority sisters in college who don't know that a poor, unfortunate, like psychotic killer is living in their attic and creeping around through the house and picking them off one at a time. But there's a whole. There's a red herring. The boyfriend of one of the main characters is possibly the killer as well. There's like a
I see what
whole,
you're saying.
you know what I mean? Like the whole thing is like a mystery, like who's doing it. But, you know, that's the big reveal is when the cops are like, the chase is crazy. And the cops have been made to be idiots throughout the movie. So he's like, no, you dumbass. You've got it backwards. He's like, no, that's what I'm saying, sir. The calls, they're both from the house. The calls from inside the house. And then, you know, and it's gotten memed. We've talked about the Mandela effect on other programs, and
Yeah.
it's maybe been rephrased by people who have remembered it kind of the way it was said. But yes, that's where it is. Black Christmas. The call was inside the house. Great movie. You should watch it.
Nice.
When they probably get it confused with
We'll
the
have to
other
check that
movie where it was another slasher, but like the guy was on a cell phone inside the house.
Which may even be an
So,
homage
Yeah,
to
probably.
what, again, is this, unfortunately, is somewhat underappreciated for what it did for the genre.
No,
It's
that's
one of
fair.
those, kind of like Dark City, random tangent, but the Dark City, the movie that was basically The Matrix that came out a few months before The Matrix. It's unfortunate. Brilliant pieces of art that are just too similar to something that was a little more popular.
Kind of like how Digimon got fucked by Pokemon.
Yes. Oh, wow, we could probably do this all day. There's probably a
little.
lot of these.
There's
yeah.
a bunch of examples. Honorable mention, though, would definitely be Scrooged. That's another great Christmas movie.
That is another definitely worth putting on the list. Are there any others that we've forgotten about? I'm sure there are some made-for-TV ones people really like that would be clamoring for, like Rudolph.
Yeah. Muppets.
Muppet Christmas
Yeah.
Carol.
Yeah.
Yep.
Oh, that's a yeah.
I
That's a
grew
fucking
the fuck
classic
up on
right
that.
there.
Yep.
Charlie Brown Christmas.
The Grinch with Jim Carrey. I liked that one.
Yeah. I don't have a lot of memories of that movie. I was just such a big fan of the cartoon. I remember watching it and not necessarily liking it, but so much of that can just be bias. Like when you have a version
fair.
of something that you already like and in your opinion there's nothing wrong with it, at least this is how especially a young Kevin would react to these things. And even now that I have like some I've been over stimulated with nostalgia. That's how I'll put it. So I have a little bit of nostalgia fatigue where I'm just like, leave it alone. It was fine. You didn't need to redo it. It was fine the way it was. What have you done to make it better? Now, Jim Carrey being the Grinch, this is not necessarily an example of that because it definitely was different and it was live action.
Oh, but they have fucked up the Grinch. Have you seen the musical that they did live on television?
No.
It was fucking terrible. I'm sorry if anyone's listening that was a part of that, but I think
Well, they
that
should
might have
be
been a
ashamed
mistake
then.
for your career. Like, it was really bad. Go back and watch it. You'll see. It was terrible. And I don't know if they do that every year or every other year, but I would never sit through it again. I don't care who acts in it. You could, no.
What if they paid
Just-
you money?
To watch it?
Yeah.
Yeah,
They're like,
I'd
"Here's a
watch
cool
it if
20."
they paid me money. No, not for $20. I can't buy shit for $20 anymore.
I mean, you could get a gallon of gas.
They could pay me $50. I could get a whole tank of gas.
Yeah, it's like if they're
or
for $20,
almost.
they're gonna say, "Hey, come watch it. We'll provide you Chipotle."
You know what?
The order probably won't
I'm
be
hungry
right,
now,
but
so.
Right.
hashtag not sponsored.
Well,
Furthest
to
thing from
be
a sponsor.
fair-
Get my order right, you
okay,
dipshits.
To be fair,
Exactly.
if they're offering free Chipotle, you know they just ran in and grabbed whatever poor fucking DoorDash order was supposed to be going out the door.
Which
and
won't have the
running out.
chips for some reason.
Right, they never
Oh,
do.
but their chips are so
Order it for
good.
pickup, and the chips are always in the bag. Order it
Right.
from DoorDash. The chips never show up at your house. How does it
Fuck their
happen?
chips.
You
One of
have
many
bad
mysteries.
DoorDashers.
One of
There's
many
good
mysteries
ones out
of
there,
life.
but I can't believe the nerve. I used to DoorDash, and I cannot believe the nerve of some of the stories I hear. Some of these dashers who will, like, take a bite of your fucking egg roll and put it back in your bag. They're not even supposed to open your fucking bag. Like, it just, you should be reporting people like that, just so you know.
I would lose my shit.
I don't see the point in paying all kinds of fees to have someone go pick up my food if I actually can do it. So I try my very hardest not to
Right.
have my food delivered
Same.
anymore.
I usually just pick it up on my way home, if that was like the plan for that night.
I'll even just go out and get food sometimes.
Yeah.
Not very often, but I will before I go get DoorDash. I have to be like stuck at work, no way to get food, like that
No,
kind of
and
thing.
that's
And I work
yeah.
from home, so that's not really going to happen very often.
That or drunk. I have to be
That's fair.
That's fair.
That's
not
valid.
able to,
Yeah.
or
Yeah.
You should not go out and get food.
or just late. Sometimes if it's too late and I'm just hungry, just super hungry late at night, I might just get the food delivered instead.
#blessed.
Yes, because it's just not wanting to risk getting pulled over late at night or something. You know, I would hate. Yeah, drunk, tired, same thing. But
Oh,
then
yeah.
at that point,
Right.
because it's not just the extra fees, it's that to make up for the money that the companies are losing, they are like, you can watch it in real time, switching your order from pickup to delivery and watch the price change for the same amount, the
Right.
menu price. Like, it's
Yeah.
crazy. It's Chipotle especially. It's
Mhm.
ridiculous that if it's within 10-15 minute drive, like, just go fucking get the thing, man.
Right.
Yeah, and if you're not going to tip, you really need to go get it because you can't be acting like your driver's gas is free. It's not.
No,
and guess
it's
what?
legit.
DoorDash doesn't pay them shit.
Nope.
DoorDash might pay them $2.50 to drop that food off at your
A
house.
mile.
No.
No, not even
Period. Period.
a mile. Fuck.
Yeah.
They live off of tips. So if you can't give a tip, you need to quit being selfish and go pick up your own damn food. Just saying.
So would you say they live off just the tip?
Yeah, pretty much. And
Who
trust
doesn't?
me, it ain't a long tip most of the time. It's kind of disappointing.
Well, that's what they tell, like every guy's told this lie in his life. Hey, baby, it's just the tip, and then they just shove it right on in.
Yeah, that should be labeled as sexual assault, I think.
I think I think that's
It's false pretenses.
not
in the worst
allowed.
way.
I think you should dump him too if he did that to you.
I remember
yeah,
a
leave him.
dear friend of ours making a joke on Twitter using my face as the meme because it was a picture of me drunk in college making my like ah face. You guys can't see it, but they did.
It was wonderful.
Yeah. And
Absolutely, please.
so a buddy of ours used to use that to make memes, and he made a questionable meme back in around 2015, 2016, and it said, when she says, "You have a condom, right?" and you say, "Yeah, for sure," or basically just insinuating like when you lie to a woman and tell her you have a condom and just have sex with her, and then the woman pointed out, the head of the editor of a magazine that we had had a good business relationship with at the time previously, had pointed out to him that that's like fucking assault, like that's like borderline rape doing that.
Yeah.
And
I mean, it kind of is
And-
because it was the false pretenses of, oh, you're gonna wrap it up.
yeah, then I'm good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
yeah, and if
When
you
you
gave
know
her,
that she would have said no if it was an unwrapped present.
Yes.
yeah, and if you gave her an STD, you deserve to be sued. And if you gave her an unwanted child, you deserve to pay child support for 18 years.
18 years. But yeah, and so that was hilarious. That ended it ended that business relationship. It ended with
Pretty
a couple
quickly.
I can
couple
see
people
that.
getting blocked on Twitter. It was
Yeah.
very
Sounds rough.
very interesting. You know, hey, you learn. You live and you learn, and you try to grow from it. So I think we can probably dive in to the main course of it all this week, right? We've got a couple of shows that have wrapped that you guys have watched. I've got a throwback movie to dive into, one of my favorite both authors and directors. So I get like everything I love on this one piece. And then we've got not only a second segment of Someone You Know Fucked Up, but we get a repeat performance. So those of you who know, you already know. Those of you who don't, you can wait. So
Woot woot.
Rick and Morty, right? Wubba lubba dub dub.
Lubba lubba dub dub.
I don't know what you're talking about there. I've never said that in my life.
Is that not canon anymore? I'm out. I've missed a whole season. You guys got to tell me what's going
I was
on.
actually doing a mashup. Remember, there's a point where Jay and the duo of Jay and Silent Bob's like, I never said snoochie boochies. That shit's fucking stupid.
Olaf
Good
Metal.
movie. Yeah, Rick and Morty, the season finale of season 6.
Yeah.
And it was actually pretty good. It was pretty good. I liked it. I liked how you got to see Rick be kind of human.
Oh,
Yeah.
That is a shock. So we'll go ahead and say it right now.
Spoiler.
Full spoilers for the whole season. Because
Yeah.
you might be like me and you may not have seen it. And we will get into why, because I think that's an important and fun part of this conversation. Because if you are like me and you at one point on the Rick and Morty train decided, you know what, guys, this is my stop. I'm going to get off here. Y'all have fun. Maybe this season might be the season that brings us back. So those are the perspectives going in. So you guys have watched it all. I stopped after season 5. So I will just kind of wanted to let the listeners know that going in. So I guess I don't want to form too much of this conversation for you guys since you watched it and I did it. But I guess I'll just start with comparing it to season 5. Did you guys like this one better than the last season, or yes, okay,
100%, yeah, 100%. Season 5 was pretty disappointing. Season 4 might have been too, but I can't quite remember. I think whichever season had the toilet episode.
That was season 5, I thought.
Yeah, I was disappointed in that fucking season, but. I mean, it was season 5. I guess it had more dinner. Rick, Andre, like that was the first episode was good, and it felt like it went downhill. And then there was sperm, so let's not forget that. Was terrible.
Such a shitty episode.
What was even going on? Yeah.
Yeah, I don't even remember.
God,
I just remember being disappointed that I sat down to watch it.
And then the fact that they called back to it
so many times.
And had the giant baby be impactful in future in the future episodes. That, which again, yes, you can understand why I was kind of like, yeah, I'm good now. Now they almost won me back. That season 5 had its moments, right? Like the Rick and Two Crows.
Yeah.
You know, that part had its funny moments, but looking at it, I get tired of I make this complaint about Thor a lot in the MCU, right? I tell you guys this. I get tired of watching a character do the same growth that we've already seen them have and then have them just conveniently forget it and then have to redo it. So I felt like the Rick and Two Crows storyline was redundant. Like we kind of had already seen this. So while it was cool to see Samurai Rick with like that, season 5 to me, the best way I can put it was more sizzle than steak, and it got to be to the point where that fell flat to me. You mentioned Planet Tina, right? That was an episode I thought that had a lot of meat on those bones. Like Morty's in a relationship. Like there's a lot of content.
See Beth be a mom.
Oh yeah, I forgot about Beth actually being a mom.
Yeah, dude, it changed the dynamic to a degree where there was actual like character growth. And the GoBot episode was that season too, where they have like the different bots that form the big bot, and those big bots form another bot, and that bot forms another bot, because they bring in multi-dimensional families to pilot this giant friggin' mech bot of bots and bots.
Season 6 though, I liked for the most part. There were a couple episodes where I was like, but I really liked how in episode 1 you got to see the consequences of their actions, like all of them, in the different timelines that they've been in and fucked up and left. They go back to a timeline, they see how they fucked up and like how they really fucked up that timeline.
That's pretty cool.
But then we get an episode like Bethic Twinstinct, which was actually written by a woman. It was kind of disappointing. Maybe that's really fucked up for me to say, so if anybody's offended, I am sorry. But god damn, that was a bad episode. You remember Space Beth?
I do.
and then there's Home Beth, right?
Yes.
And then there's Jerry. And yeah, and then there's all three of them together.
Oh.
Although it starts out with just the Beths.
Oh.
The most narcissistic
Yeah.
fucking episode I've ever seen on this show, and it did not star Rick.
That is weird.
It was pretty
Right.
fucking wild, and it was off-putting. But it was one of those ones where you watch it and you're like, I don't know what the point of this one was. Kind of like the incest episode in Community. Like they made the writer of the incest episode of Community explain that he wrote this and why he did it and everything like that at the end. It felt like that. Like it felt like she should have explained herself at the end, but
A little bit.
she wasn't forced to.
Yeah, that's fair, because I do think having that context can really help. Now, I must also say that to a degree, if you have to explain it to me afterwards, then I would say that you have failed in your job. Now, there are times, sometimes as a viewer, maybe I miss clues that were there or something like that. Not to say that. So, and I say that, let's use Nope as an example. There were things that after being explained, watching it a couple of times and watching some ending explained stuff, picking up on hints that I hadn't picked up on that were in the film, I was like, okay, well, my original take of this was wrong. Like, it was a deeper film than I just missed it. But I think there are other times when it's not like that, and if the writer has to explain to you what they did and why they did it, then part of me thinks like, well, you probably should have just written it better, right?
Mhm.
Like,
Or-
what are you writing it for if you have to tell me about it afterwards?
Right.
I mean, I didn't need it mansplained to me or anything. I just needed to know why. I think I need to
Fair.
know her psychological profile in order to appreciate the episode, is what I'm getting at.
No, that's
It's
fair.
not,
No, that's
I
fair.
don't
Where does this
understand
come
why
from?
she created it. But then you also had like the Halloween episode, Night Family. That was pretty interesting. Or no, I'm sorry, that wasn't the Halloween episode. Night Family was really good though. Remember the family was kind of zombified, almost, or
So,
possessed. I think.
Essentially, Rick implanted. I don't remember if it was a device or something, but you would go to sleep and your subconscious would take over and complete tasks and chores.
Oh God.
So your body would never go to sleep, which is I don't understand how that would work, but yeah.
I've seen it. Christian Bale showed us. It's not.
Yeah,
It doesn't.
it's
It
called The
doesn't go well.
Machinist.
Yeah, it doesn't go well
not
at
at
all.
all.
Mm-mm.
Yeah, that
And
one.
the subconscious tries to take over.
But
Could you imagine? Oh my God.
they
Yeah.
kind of try and throw Rick away
Mm-hmm.
in that episode. Like they mutiny,
Yeah,
Oh.
it's
and
funny.
it's led by
Summer.
Summer.
Hey, interesting.
Yes.
That would be an episode that I would be interested in. Now, it really depends on how it's handled, but that again, and it's a nice sequitur from the previous episode, because I think depending on how your mind works and how your relationship with your own subconscious, like as soon as you said that to me, I was like, oh fuck, dude, I could not stomach the concept of my subconscious running around unchecked for 12 hours. I would lose a lot of friends. Actually, I don't need to. I know what that looks like. It was when I was a teenager. I was an asshole. I said everything I thought as soon as I thought it, and it burned a lot of bridges. I would hate that. That's terrifying. So I have no idea what they did when their subconsciouses were in charge. But I think that's a very cool premise that with a cast of multiple characters, I'm hoping they took it in different directions.
That makes me think of a YouTuber I really like. So just real quick shout out, if you don't mind. Selena Spooky Boo does sleepwalking videos as well as paranormal videos, because I mean, I can't say for certainty or not, but she claims to have a connection to the other side. So, but she does sleepwalking videos, and they're like legit. Like, she has this issue where if she eats a lot of dairy, she'll sleepwalk. So she'll do it on purpose to make videos, and she doesn't do it too often anymore. But they're really funny to hear her, like, her subconscious come out. Basically, it's hilarious. She's hilarious too, even when she's awake. So definitely, if you want to check out somebody that is sleepwalking for real, Selena Spooky Boo.
That is funny. I didn't know that. Could you imagine being able to trigger something like that.
I guess it's genetic for her too, because her brother can do the same thing. I think there's a video where they are both sleepwalking, and her husband is like babysitting them because she winds out in the yard sometimes, or like walking down the sidewalk. And
I may have
stuff.
seen her, unless there. I mean, it's possible that someone else is doing the same
Fair.
thing. But I have seen videos of, either a couple times. I think it's been her reacting the next day, like her watching herself. But then there have been, and I remember seeing one specifically where she left the house, and that one was pretty entertaining. I would be terrified of that. Like if I knew I slept walk, I would never eat dairy again. Like if I knew that dairy triggered it,
Her husband helps take care of her, and I think she gives him a heads up. Like, since she's doing it on purpose, I'm pretty sure she's giving him a heads up. Like, hey, I'm going to do a video tonight. Would you, be able to watch me? Or her brother will watch
Can
her
you
sometimes.
babysit me while I sleepwalk?
Yeah,
That's so
kind of.
insane.
And she'll interact with him sometimes, or she'll interact with like stuffed animals and stuff because she's asleep. She's like legit asleep. So really funny stuff if you're interested in that.
That is cool. I will have to check that out. And that's an interesting premise. That I like to hear more of stuff like that. I wasn't sure what they were going to do after season 5 when they kind of hit the reset button. Yeah. Well, they jumped the sperm, and then they did whatever the gold. What was that they called it? The barrier that they broke free of all the. They were only existing, right?
Oh,
Make
the
sure I'm
train.
explaining this right. Where they were existing only in universes where Rick was the smartest. Wasn't that? What was the thing that he had? Because One-eyed Morty had broken free of it at the very end of season 5, right? Do they even revisit that again in season 6 at all? That they're breaking free of Rick being the smartest? Because they set up like we're gonna have like this multiversal, like we're gonna really expand the story. So did they follow up on that?
A little.
Okay.
They've expanded the story in the sense of, and this is a real big spoiler.
If you have not
Turn
fast
away
forwarded
now.
yet, what are you waiting for?
Do it.
If you have not seen this, spoils.
You can do 10 seconds at a time on YouTube or 15 on Spotify. Just go until you don't hear Rick and Morty stuff anymore. It's fine.
So Rick Prime. Okay, remember the Shoney's episode? That was
I'll never
real.
forget. That was my favorite episode.
That was real.
Which part? I'll have
When
to.
they were going back in his memory, and the Rick shows up to his garage and kills Beth and his wife.
It was a different Rick.
It was our Rick.
Was the one that
Is the one who's Beth and
got killed?
Yeah.
Oh.
Actually, Beth's dad, right?
Yeah.
Or Space Beth. We don't know who the clone is.
Oh.
It's our Rick.
So that was not a fake origin story. He
That was
just
not a
still
fake
booby
origin.
trapped it.
Exactly.
Interesting,
So
I think.
he's chasing Rick Prime.
That's what they call the Rick that killed his family.
Yeah.
Got it.
Okay,
That's
so
interesting. No, I get it.
okay.
No, you're good. My confusion, I think, it just feels like a tack on plot. Like it doesn't feel like that was what they intended it to be when they did it. And I haven't seen it, so that's maybe an unfair criticism. But it seems like why wouldn't he have been looking for this dude the whole time? He's just been
He has been.
dicking off
He
looking
was the
for
entire time.
Crystal.
Yeah. So
It
that's
just
why
makes
he
some
needed-
episodes not make any fucking
So
sense.
that's why he needed a Morty to disguise himself. So that way the other Rick couldn't find him.
Rick Prime, you mean?
Mm-hmm.
Needed a Morty to disguise himself?
No, our Rick.
Our Rick. Well,
So.
he went back to take care of the Rick Prime's family, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because he didn't have his Beth anymore, and Rick Prime wasn't taking care of her. So I
Right.
think that's my theory, at least. Plus, that's probably the easiest way to track him down to go to his
Well,
house.
then wouldn't they have been the ones that were left in the Cronenberg world?
I don't know.
That's another part too. Yeah, he's far removed from the original family he had in episode 1, season 1 anyway, right? So
Yeah.
that's
Yeah,
because they got left in Cronenberg world. So
Yeah.
We'd have to do a timeline.
Yeah.
Well, they're the ones that show up, I believe, in this first episode. It wasn't that Cronenberg world where they went, and
Yeah.
that's where Jerry was.
And Rick Prime kills Jerry.
Yep. So they do come back to that, the first episode of season 6.
oh wow, okay.
So
Nice.
yeah.
But I mean, on that note, have they really known the storyline from the beginning? Because I would guess no.
Probably not.
That would be my guess, just based on their style and stuff.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, it's not fun that way.
No.
It's like having a book series, and you know exactly how the story's going to go
They
when you
marveled
turn it
it.
into a show. Yeah, they just I wouldn't want to be tied down like that to art, which
yeah.
it arguably is.
Well,
Yeah.
You
Mhm.
gotta,
Why
you
wouldn't
gotta
it be?
think they've really hit on the hits, you know, because there have been very distinct things that the fan base has fucking loved, and they kind of re-hit that hammer, or that nail with that hammer. So, I think at the very end of this calls back to the very end of the first season finale, where Rick is just kind of like going nuts, and he's like, we're gonna hunt him down, Morty. 8 more seasons, yeah, of hunting him down, Morty.
That is
Type
how
of
it ended.
thing,
Yeah.
So
In between there, though, I will point out we had an episode called Jurassic Mort,
mhm.
where the planet is taken over by dinosaurs, and they do a very good job
Mhm.
of running the planet, much better than we
Yeah.
could do. However, there is the twist that there's a reason the dinosaurs went extinct. There's actually a murderous meteorite that follows them
A murderous
to every
band of
planet
comets.
they go to try and fix, because they go from planet to planet trying to fix it, and there's a murderous meteorite that follows
Mhm.
them around and kills every planet they go
Wow.
to. So they can't stick around to keep running it after a while.
It was a great episode.
That was fantastic.
They fits Rick's portal gun, and he gets all pissed off about it.
There was another one that kind of reminded me of the sperm one, though. It was called Analyze Piss. It didn't
Oh,
get as bad
Jesus.
reviews, but it was so gross. It was just gross. Like
Well-
the sperm one, it was not. It was one of those ones where you're like,
Yeah.
it's kind of like an episode of Big Mouth.
Oh,
Like the
yeah.
episode of Big Mouth where that one kid jacks off in all those socks. It was
Mm,
just as uncomfortable,
mm.
in my
Yeah.
opinion.
Yeah.
Well, and
that's
that's
fair.
also uncomfortable because we see Jerry be the hero.
That is true. Jerry
Yeah.
did
It's
take
even
the hero
worse.
role in that episode, but
Because the character says he wants to piss on Summer. Yeah, so he goes out there and kicks his ass, which,
he's a villain made of piss.
yeah. Well, he shoots. Think of like, I can't. Think Electro, right, from like Spider-Man, but
Yeah.
instead of like packs of like electricity, he's just spraying piss everywhere. And
Yeah.
so Jerry goes out
Mm.
there,
That's what it sounds
kicks
like.
the piss out of
Mm.
him, literally.
Let him.
Yeah,
and-
literally.
He saves the day.
And then it got depressing.
It did, really quick.
Yeah.
Yeah,
it's-
very quickly
Yeah.
went
You
downhill.
Can't make him the hero.
No,
No, it's not gonna work. Doesn't
And
do.
And then they fought the Sun People, but then
Mhm.
Morty became the king of the Sun People. He
And
almost
but
had
he
to
refused
lose his
cut off
penis.
dick.
Yeah, he would have had to cut off his dick to become
Not
the
surprised.
real king.
Wow. Morty has this way about him where he finds his way to lead these tribes. You know, it
Mhm.
happened inside Rick's engine.
Yeah.
Remember that? He went and lived with the crazy weird tree people.
Remember the Purge
to
episode?
a curvy piece of driftwood the other day.
Remember the Purge episode?
Oh, that was
Where he tried to rescue that one girl?
Yes.
That was a nutty episode. I liked that episode
was
a
a
lot,
good one.
actually. That was a really good one. But yeah, and then at the end, we have our Christmas episode, very last one, and you find out that Rick was actually missing through part of the season. He replaced
Mhm.
himself with a robot
Yeah.
that was programmed to love his family 22% more than what he was able to do.
Wow.
And it was really, And then you see him, the actual him, at the opposite end of the spectrum, just totally hating life, has grown a little bit of a beard, trying to find Rick Prime. Been underground trying to find Rick Prime. However,
You gave him a fucking lightsaber?
he gave him a lightsaber, and it started to find its way towards the core. They were able to find it before it made the planet explode, because apparently there's something in a lightsaber, some kind of crystals.
Yeah, the
that
kyber
would
crystals.
make the.
Well,
It was
yeah.
very Star Wars based.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Star Wars Christmas special with Rick, basically.
God.
I
Essentially.
bet George
That's
Lucas
funny.
would like this one better.
Yeah.
It'd
I
be
bet
hard
he
not
would
to.
like this one better. But yeah, it was funny. It was actually pretty touching too. So it was good. I really like it a lot better than season 5 and season 4, because season 4 I couldn't even finish season 4, to be honest. I didn't finish season 4, which is actually a shame. It looks like I should watch one. Claw and Hoarder, Special Victims Morty.
I don't remember that one.
Rick
It looks like
I hardly
Dungeons
know
and
him.
Dragons, maybe.
Oh,
So I might wanna check that
it's
one
one
out.
with the dragon.
With the yeah.
The toilet one threw me off in season 4. The old
That's
man in the
what it
seat.
was.
Yeah.
It
Yeah.
bugged me. I don't know why.
Are you a shy pooper?
No, I just don't understand. I just don't understand why you're going to make an entire episode about this toilet of Serenity. Like, Scrubs did it first. They put a
Mhm.
toilet on the roof. It was the toilet of
And
Serenity.
people ruined it.
So I don't know. It was just that episode bugged me for some reason, kind of turned me off to that whole season. But I mean, they're getting better. It's gonna be kind of hit or miss, really, when you think about it, because they've got to have a wide fandom, like the people that can take them and the people that love them, and then everybody in between. So
Yeah, that's true. That's a good point. And you touched on something that I think explains why I faded away from the show, which is the extensive filler episodes. Those episodes like the ones you just mentioned, where it's just like, what value did the toilet episode bring? Now, every once in a while, you have some fun filler episodes, like the one where they go into the amusement park, right?
I
Like,
love that one.
That's
Yeah.
a great one.
So I can't sit here and not acknowledge the good ones, but what I felt like in more recent seasons, it felt like the filler content had eclipsed the true and
Mhm.
good content, and it was more just like, we have maybe 4 episodes worth of this season, and we're gonna just fit in some random jokes here and there and turn this into 8 episodes so we can call it a season. But we don't really have a full season for you guys. Sorry. We
Well, it's
didn't
kinda the
think as far
opposite.
ahead.
It's kind of
It's-
like video game developers, by the way,
little.
that expect you to download the DLC later. You're like, no,
Yeah.
stop it. No.
It's
No,
like
make
the
the
opposite
game
of
first,
anime.
you dick. Stop asking me to pre-order your
Little
bullshit.
plot.
Make a game.
All filler.
And I don't get, my boss doesn't prepay me for work I might do later. Just fucking make a
I wish
game,
mine did.
and I will pay you for it. Stop this madness. I'm coming for you, video games. I'm coming for you.
Fuck you,
Give me
EA
time.
Sports.
Yeah, you're in my crosshairs.
I
buddy.
just choose not to buy their games anymore until they come out. Until it's been like a year. I'm like, I figure you've patched the shit by then. I'm not into trends anyways. Like,
No, that's fair.
go ahead. Like,
You know how much they would
except
learn
for Overwatch, I
if
jumped on that.
everybody didn't buy the newest Madden?
Oh, I mean, if you waited a year to buy the newest Madden, I think that's the exception to the rule, though. There's a new one every year, so it's
Yeah.
kind of like you gotta
Maybe
jump on that in the beginning.
So what you can do, though, as a frugal sports game consumer, what you can do is about a month or two before the new one will come out, they'll put the current year for sale for about $20 to try to get you enticed to gear you up to want to buy the new one. And so what you can do is buy the about to be old one at like $20 price a year later, and the network is supported usually for about 2 years. So then you can just go online and download an updated roster. There are dedicated communities, just like there were back in the PS2 days. We had these communities. You used to have to pay for it back then, but people spend their free time updating these rosters to make them accurate, and then they download it. The community grades them, so you just kind of like Reddit, you go with either the most downloads or the most upvotes, and then you have what you need. And so if you are not someone who needs to play online and wants to avoid the microtransactions, buy Madden or 2K, 10 months, 11 months after it's been released. Download a roster and then just play a franchise, play a dynasty to your heart's content. I made it years buying games only like every 2 or 3 years just because I said, well, I'm not going to play your bullshit my team. It's just pay to win anyway. And if I'm playing a season, it's just like a story, right? Like I'm probably going to want to play it for more than one season, so I can probably get more than 1 year out of this game because I'm not fucking 15 anymore. I can't pour 4 hours into a football game season like I used to on a given day, Or if I do, I got to make up for that time at some point. I can't just be like, oh, hey, there's no school for 3 months. I'm going to
right.
guess what I'm doing for 40
Christmas
hours
break,
a week. Yeah.
Or spring break.
Yeah, I can't tell you last time I paid full price for a video game. I can't tell you the next time that I plan to do that. I don't.
I won't even pay for the season pass of Overwatch anymore. It didn't impress me the first time. I'm not going to pay any money. Like, I'm so done with these developers giving us bullshit. So, yeah, I'm going to wait until your game drops down to $25. Maybe I'll find it used, actually. I don't care at this point. I don't need to play video games that bad anymore. And if I do, I already own one, so I'm good.
Yep,
like
that's
I'm set.
true. Got a bunch that I own, and I've started to take it a different way and go more and more into the retro space. I mean, just today, because we were talking about EA, Lou knows this. I'm working on probably a bit of a EA hit piece, specifically aimed at Madden, and I went and picked up 6 different EA sports titles from the PlayStation 2 era today for a total of $19.
Yeah.
And a lot of those games have features that modern titles do not, which is kind of the whole point of why I bought these. I bought Madden 2002 that currently, I believe, has more features in it than Madden 2023. That's a story for another day. But again, like you can go, your dollar goes a lot farther. And I think I'm not the only one that has experienced a little bit of what I'm calling like stream fatigue. I think we blew right past this phase of owning our media. Like we went in the grand scheme of it all with humanity. Like we went from you can only hear it on the radio to like cassette players, VHS, DVD, Blu-ray to you're right back to you can only hear it on the radio, but except now there's a visual radio. Like now you're just paying for shit that you can't have.
Yeah.
And you can pay for Hulu all you want, but if they decide that this episode of It's Always Sunny is no longer appropriate, you don't get it anymore, even though you've been paying specifically for that. So there are people like me who have said, I'd just rather own my media. And meanwhile, games now, NCAA 14 will go down now that a new college football game is coming out. But at its peak, that game was worth twice what it was retail. So there are going to be other titles like that. They're going to just continue to grow in value. So I'm just saying it now. Get ahead of this because they're not being made anymore. But the demand is going up. So at some point, there's been this weird decade of like just these couple of stores that are dying that just have shelves and shelves and shelves of PS2 and 360 games. But I do think at some point, as that gets more and more sparse, like those things are going to go up in value. And it's a lot more fun because back then they finished the fucking game before they sold it to you.
They had to. There was no other choice. I mean, if not, you wound up as E.T. on the Atari. Can you imagine? How embarrassing.
God, there are some oh my God. And also another exclusive licenses is a big one too because they had competition. Now that's more specifically in the sports realm of things, but now you look at that's why EA and that I think that laziness that EA had in their sports branch spread out throughout its company, and they used that mentality. They were able to look and say, oh well, we don't need to make new games, guys. We can just reskin the same stuff and sell it year after year because you look at some of their other
people
titles.
Are buying it.
Yeah, they don't like. It's all
yeah.
chains. Like
Ever
EA is
since
like
2K
a
Sports
fast.
went
Yeah.
down. Yeah.
Well, it's
They didn't
Yum
have to
Brands.
compete. Yeah.
You know what game I miss the most? Well, there's two game series that you'll never play anything like this again. Fable and BioShock.
Both, yeah, amazing. I keep seeing screenshots from an alleged BioShock movie.
Oh
that
my
I
God, I'd
really
watch the
hope-
fuck out that.
Right. And it could be a meme. This could all be fake. But what's it? Del Toro.
Benicio?
No, the Guillermo.
Guillermo del Toro.
Yes.
Del Toro. He just did a Pinocchio.
Yes. So imagine like his style of a BioShock movie.
Oh my fucking god! What if him and Tim Burton teamed up? That might be my movie wet dream.
I think Tim Burton strictly set and character design though.
Yeah. I mean,
I don't want to see a Tim Burtonized I don't want to see Edward
Guillermo del Toro
Scissorhands
is responsible for casting. Okay.
Yes.
I just learned
And
about
maybe
that
direction,
recently, and it was really disappointing to learn about. I think your reasoning is kind of bullshit on that, Mr. Burton. So I'm just gonna move forward from here. But yeah, Guillermo del Toro and fucking Tim Burton together on that movie would be fucking intense. Ooh, or Clive Barker and Guillermo del Toro.
I'm trying to think of
Pinhead?
who would be a good. Oh yeah. Okay. Who makes the best Andrew Ryan for that? Would you kindly? You know what I'm saying? Like who? Remember the BioShock, the villain? Who plays the villain in the first BioShock? If you're casting it,
Michael Shannon.
Oh, hold on.
I gotta
me
think
think.
for a second on this one because
who's someone who creeps me the fuck out?
I'm thinking
Kevin Bacon. No, I'm just
Kevin
kidding.
Bacon. You know who I'm going with?
Yeah, maybe.
Hans Lando. What's the actor's name from Django and not Hans?
Guy that drives the dentist
Inglourious
truck?
Bastards. The guy who drives the dentist truck in Django.
Oh, I can see that.
And he's the German investigator in Inglourious Bastards. Christoph Waltz. Thank you. That's my casting.
I could see that.
Matthew, because I think he could pull off the English accent well enough.
Oh yeah,
And
Kevin Bacon's not
definitely.
gonna do that.
destroy it, and then and he has that like class and like we've seen him play these like older roles in it. Because if you think about, that's the other thing about BioShock, is it's kind of like Fallout in a way, where it's like this 1950s esque, like it's
You don't know when it
futuristic
takes
but in the
place.
past.
Steampunky.
Yeah, you have
steampunky,
no
yep.
idea when it takes place because there's no timeline that makes sense
Right.
in this realm.
Michael Shannon would be mine.
That is a good one too. I'm trying to think. Did you have one, Kelsey, in mind for a villain?
Why is the kid that played in Finding Neverland coming to my head? Does he still act? That one little kid that looks up at Johnny Depp and he's so sad. Ooh, Johnny Depp. Never mind. I could see Johnny Depp doing it, and I think that would be fantastic. I could see that.
And then what's interesting about that movie too is you have a bit of a blank slate for your main character.
Oh yeah, because it was that one was first person to give you that
Yep.
stronger horror effect, I think.
And there was a strong sense of brainwashing, and so like a lot of what you did as a character wasn't by character choice. You come to find that out at the end. But so yeah, you have a lot of opportunity there. Now, BioShock Infinite hurts my brain, but it does kind of tie back into the original story in a way that I yes.
I didn't play that one personally. I
That was the only
wanted
one I
to. I
played.
just didn't.
Yeah. Oh, really?
Yeah.
In my opinion, maybe this is a hot take here. In my opinion, the first one is by far the superior. In my opinion, the first one is
go back.
the best. 2, I don't like because of the mechanics. It took 2 went Alien 2, and it took a horror game and made it like, I'm going to be a shooter. I'm going to put you in this giant tank, and nothing's going to scare you anymore because you're controlling a giant tank. And so it didn't have the same impact for me. And then BioShock Infinite had a very cool story, very action-packed. But like for me, nothing touched that. It was so freaking scary. I can still to this day. The first one. Do you remember, Kelsey, the like the doctor's office early on, where it's like half filled with water, and you see that creepy dude, and he's working on a patient, or you think he is, and then he's actually a tweaker, and he just jumps out at you with a wrench, and like that's.
He's wearing a bunny mask, right?
Yeah.
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 Yeah, that was frightening. And I don't know about you, but I was an avid watcher of Titanic when I was a child. I don't know why I was allowed to watch that, but I was.
did watch that a lot growing up.
I did too, yeah. And maybe it was Kate Winslet's breasts, you think?
That's probably why I watched it on the
I mean,
tape.
a little
Yeah,
bit.
Yeah,
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 absolutely.
I know it's because I know why your mom lets you watch it
Yeah.
because she's obsessed with Celine Dion.
Yes, absolutely.
Oh, I just heard the news about her. I feel for her.
Yeah.
Frozen person syndrome.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I hope she's doing well. But yeah, I remember playing that game, and after watching Titanic so often, when you see something filled with water, also Poseidon, saw that one. That one was fucking nuts. I've seen a lot of boat movies. Fucking Deep Blue Sea.
A shark ate
I mean,
me. Yeah.
I mean, yeah. So whenever I see water and you know you're kind of like in the ocean, that's fucking scary when there's water inside. You know, you don't want that. So that added to it, plus all the fucking tweakers in masks, just running around. You have these drugs everywhere, and they're doing all this crazy shit to you, to everybody else, and then you have this giant ass dude walking around with a tiny little girl, and he has a fucking giant drill for a hand. It was all terrifying. There is nothing that can beat that. I've never played the Silent Hill games though, to be honest. So maybe that would also compare, but
Yeah.
I think you lose. I still feel it's not the same, of course.
Silent Hill was different too because so much of what made Silent Hill scary at the time could be viewed as unintentional. So like the Sherman tank, the way that you it was really hard to maneuver. It was almost impossible to draw your weapon and shoot. Most angles, like they were fixed camera angles, so you couldn't see stuff. So Silent Hill was where its genius was the way that they utilized their limitations and turned it into. It's kind of like what Robert Rodriguez would do when he had one camera and he's like, oh, we fucked that take up, so I'm gonna cut right here and I'm gonna move 2 feet over and zoom in, and like my fuck up now looks like a brand new angle. And like that's where genius is like taking your
Right.
limitations and like using them as a catapult to leap yourself. And that's
Absolutely.
where Resident Evil gets like, oh shit. But I so it's tough to compare the two because BioShock has the impact of being a first-person shooter, 2 consoles removed from Resident Evil or Silent Hill.
Right.
Sorry.
No, Resident Evil was good too, but just
Yeah.
in different ways.
Yep. And so yeah, I don't know. For me, BioShock was one of the best horror games, and for all the reasons that you explained. And there was that uncanny valley aspect of it because all of those tweakers
yeah.
had smiling face masks, and that their arms would be just ravaged. Because the thing is, everyone in this story has powers, just like in Infinite Lou. They have. You're able to inject powers into yourself, and so they're called tweakers for a legitimate reason.
But if you've ever seen Requiem for a Dream, you know what happens when you consistently inject shit into your arm, especially if you use the same injection site, exactly the same hole. So yeah, yeah, that was pretty nasty. I agree.
Yeah, and
Or
it
if
was.
there's crocodile in it.
Oh God, don't even start with that.
Yeah, we don't want to.
No.
Oh my God.
Oof.
Please don't inject things into your body.
Yes.
Please don't look that up.
Yeah.
Unless, of course, it's
And
like
don't ever
insulin or
take it.
something, then you
Yeah.
need that. Like, if you need insulin, then you should inject that if you have to.
Agreed. Yes. So yeah. So that is Now I'm gonna play BioShock. I bought that. We're talking about video games that were on sale. I bought the Infinite Collection a long time ago with
Nice.
the intent to like stream it, because that game, when I played it, streaming wasn't really a thing. So I was like, well, this could be
Fair.
a fun little bit of nostalgia, and people can watch me scream at stuff that I forgot was in the game.
The throwback from the way back.
Yeah, so that BioShock is a good one. I forget exactly where we turned down into the video game lane. I'm glad we spent so much time there.
Well, we were basically at the end of Rick and Morty, to be honest.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
I don't know. Did you have any?
So was the season.
Yeah,
Wubble of a dub dub.
Wubble of a dub dub.
and on to the burger of the day then, probably, right? Because much
Ooh,
like the last
burgers.
segment, there's another show that I now. Unlike Rick and Morty, I never had any reason I stopped watching Bob's Burgers. I just got really far behind, and it's just intimidating to try to catch up on X amount of seasons.
That's
so
fair.
it just has stayed
Yeah.
on the back burner. So where are we And what do you guys like about it?
Well, did you check out the movie by chance? It's on Hulu.
I have not watched the movie yet. I need to watch the movie.
It is good.
Is there a certain point in the time? Like, do I need to watch it? Like, okay, after season X, then it's the movie, and then because there are certain shows, like for instance, the Trailer Park Boys that had multiple little movies.
Oh yeah, I know what you're talking about.
And but you need to watch it in like you need to know like the movie came out between season 4 and season 5 in order for it to like fully have the best impact, because then it can tie storylines together.
I don't know. I think you could get away with it, honestly, just because Bob's Burgers does seem to be so individual episodes. Yeah, it's just it's kind of like The Simpsons. I don't think that at any point you needed to have been caught up on The Simpsons to a certain point to understand the movie. It was a storyline all its own, and they actually continue it in the newer seasons. Like there's a certain I don't know, spoilers? Should we? Just a very small one. There's a sinkhole that develops in the movie right in front of the restaurant, and so when they continue to the next season after the movie, they included the sinkhole, and they added the sinkhole.
Oh, very cool. Yeah. Okay, so if I see a sinkhole in the montage, I'll know. Okay, I can watch the movie now. If I forget, absolutely. I'll be like, okay, now's a good time to watch the movie.
Absolutely, the movie was really cute though, and they started adding different elements to the animation, like more shading and things like that, giving it a bit of a deeper level to it. So that was really nice to see. And then I feel like they've even continued that a little bit in the show afterwards, because of course you can't do that every episode so much. This might be a lot to accomplish, but when you have a timeline like that, but they kept it up a little bit, it feels like. So it's kind of nice. It's kind of like after it's The Simpsons, I would think after the movie came out, they kind of adjusted some things from there. Right. So
we're on season 13, episode 10 is the most recent episode,
and it was beautiful. It made me cry.
Christmas. Yeah,
actually.
And it's a dilemma that families with more than 2 children have.
Right.
Especially where if you have 2 parents, 3 children, and all 3 children have a different thing going on at the same time at different places.
Like a Christmas play.
Or a Christmas poem reading.
Yeah.
Or Jean's thing.
Or whatever Jean's weird thing is.
Yeah. Well, no, his was a
like
concert.
A musical concert thing. Yeah. But it was funny.
It's not Die Hard the musical?
No.
That was a good episode.
Work hard to die trying, girl.
Yeah, we're gonna. Yes, I love it.
But
I do love that show.
But, I mean, luckily, one of the siblings is old enough to where they could make up for one of the parents, and that was kind of cute. I'm not a fan of parentification, but she wasn't asked to do it. No. She chose to.
Yeah, I was going to say, let's not do that and say we did television. There's enough of that. We don't. That gets pushed upon
just started watching Shameless
in this society.
Shameless, yes.
Shameless is yeah.
I introduced her to the Shameless.
And then you get people growing up, and they're like, why don't you want kids? And it's like, well, maybe I had to raise one when I was a fucking teenager, dog. Maybe I'm not in a hurry to do it again.
Right.
So,
or you have a child that raised a child their whole lives, so when they grow up, that's all they know. So that's their goal. You go have kids, you know.
Yeah, true. Yep. Oh, true. That's true too. Yeah.
Maybe that leans in more towards little girls, but not that I want to gender. I'm not trying to get into that, but you know, just. Yeah,
let's just try to avoid it. Parents,
parentification fucking sucks. Yeah,
it's not their job. They didn't sign up for you to have multiple kids.
Exactly.
I really liked how it showed how much Tina cares about Louise.
Yes.
And we saw a surprisingly loving side of Louise.
Yes.
In this episode.
Towards a toy, right?
She read.
Oh.
Yeah.
I figured it was like a missing doll or something.
No. She left her Tucci-Copy at home, and her poem that I'm not going to recite because that's kind of rude.
And copyright.
Probably copyright.
Yeah. A little. It's something I saw on a T-shirt, and it was really cute, and it was kind of great, but it's not about the presents under the tree, but it's more about the people around the tree.
Aww.
And, you know, the loving family, loving time of year. One should argue that, you know, Father Christmas would want us to keep that spirit of love and charity and kindness in our hearts all year round, not just to butter 'em up for some BB gun action.
Some
Now,
capitalism.
Yeah.
if you are triggered by families at Christmas, maybe not watch this episode. Like
Yeah,
the
that's a good
holiday
point.
season can
Can get
be
weird.
a very
Emotionally
lonely
trying.
time. So
Mm-hmm.
if it is all about family. So yeah, if maybe that's a good reason to be spoiled or to have a spoiler on this, because if you do experience that, we're not trying to depress you, and I'm sure Bob's Burgers
Yeah.
isn't either. So it is all about family at Christmas and stuff. It's really sweet, but yeah, it does remind us that if we have that available, if we have that in our lives, then it's a nice time to be around family.
Definitely.
Nice. And yeah, that's a good message. And if you need one, a non-family oriented Christmas,
Yes.
may I suggest the It's Always Sunny Christmas special, because that one
Ooh.
is about, among other things, the family that you choose and how sometimes it can be a lot better than the one that you have, and that the traditions that you make are the ones that matter. And that's me being really deep. I don't know that It's Always Sunny even would have written the description as deeply. So it's going to be with some absolute complete nonsense in there. But yeah, it's definitely not, there's no big, it's not children friendly, and there's no big loving story. Lots of laughs and, a nice little friendly reminder about your friends being family and all that good stuff. So I would suggest that if you need to avoid a heartfelt, tear-jerking family Christmas event.
And if you want something in between the roughness of It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia and the potential corniness of Bob's Burgers, I would recommend the Community episode of season 2, which would be Abed's Christmas special. That was also very much about choosing your family and who you love and want to be around. Community, actually, Christmas specials are just like that in general. So all of the Community Christmas specials will have your back.
I wonder. I bet 30 Rock did a couple cool things too. I can't think of them off the rip, but I'm sure that there's definitely some good Office episodes.
Oh yeah.
The Benihana Christmas one.
Oh my
is or as Stanley would say, Mo Rocca Christmas.
Oh.
When they did the.
Oh, we brought those girls back to the office.
Oh God, that was
Those waitresses.
just so good. So I'd be willing to bet that Parks and Rec has a good Christmas themed episode somewhere in
Oh
there.
yeah, at least
can't-
one.
Can't imagine that Leslie Knope would let the good people of Pawnee not have at least one happy Christmas over 9 seasons.
Or if you want to watch something that leaves you thinking, what the fuck did I just see?
Yes.
You could watch the Shameless Christmas special, season 2, episode 1.
And speaking of what the fuck did I just see, if you really want to get that feeling, watch the Star Wars Christmas special. That is one where you will definitely make George Lucas cry if he finds out, so don't tell
We
anybody.
don't want to endorse suicide.
No, we don't.
That's
At
true.
all.
That is true. I would stay as far away from that Christmas special as one can. And I think that perfectly leads us to what I think will probably be our final segment of the day, our final main segment, which is someone you know fucked up.
Again.
Because you may want to stay as far away from a Dave Chappelle stand-up special as you can at this point.
What has happened to that man?
What is going on?
Although,
He was decapitated.
honestly, in the words of Cat Williams, that man has been decapitated, and I feel for him on that. But I really thought it was more of Elon Musk. Why is that man taking the stage at a comedy special, even if it is over? He does not know how to be funny or interact with people. Seriously, okay, Mr. Musk, there is a website that you can go to. They have a YouTube channel too. It's called Charisma on Command. I think they could help you. I am not against you as a person. I just don't think that you should be trying to be funny at this point in your life. So just want to throw that out there. Dave Chappelle, yeah, he's rough. And what comment did he make? One of you guys said.
Oh, at one point he said that all the boos. So if you don't know the context, when he brought Elon onto the stage, Elon got booed for about 2 solid minutes. I mean, the clip's about 5 minutes long.
Yeah.
They're booing him
Can you
most
blame
of
them?
it. No, why would he think? And here's the thing: know your audience. They're in San Francisco.
Right.
I don't get the vibe that San Francisco is a place where Elon Musk is well liked. So why would you expect to be praised and cheered in this situation? And then what was worse was Dave saying, all those boos are coming from up there in the cheap seats, which is a pretty ridiculous thing for a guy who charges.
That's where I'd be sitting.
Yeah, well, it's like no less than $200 for those
Right.
cheap seats, man. Like, which maybe would have been worth it for Prime Dave. It's not worth it for the grown man who just tells 1 or 2 really long stories while he chain smokes cigarettes on a bench. It's not. He tells you multiple times in his sets now that he doesn't tell jokes anymore.
Yeah.
So it's this inflated bullshit ticket cost, and then he's gonna say, "Oh, it's the poor, Elon. It's the poors that are booing you," and it's just. I've gone full circle on this because at first I thought it was a fallen hero, right? I thought, man, remember the guy Dave used to be? But no, I think it's realistically, I fell for for Senator Palpatine. Dave Chappelle has always been a greedy, kind of shitty person, is probably the truth of the story. And now he just gets to be that because he's rich enough to not have to answer to anybody. And so now any sort of self-restraint and any attempt to look like a good person is gone and out the window. And now this is just the real Dave that we get to see, unfortunately.
Yeah. Well, money doesn't change people. It enables who they really are.
Just like tough times.
Yeah.
I will say I've been to Dave Chappelle's hometown so many fucking times. I love that place. They have an amazing shop where you can look at all kinds of metaphysical stuff. They've got cool comic book stores. They've got cool glass blowing places, good pizza, good food. He has a restaurant there that he owns, and it's very good. But honestly,
Nice. I'll go piss on it sometime.
I actually wanted to eat there.
it's good food. It's not the best food in the world, but it's a nice atmosphere. So that's you pay for the atmosphere essentially. From what I can remember, it's been a while, but. Everyone in the town where I lived would always be like, "Oh yeah, I've seen Dave Chappelle. I've seen him when I head out there. I've seen him before. I'll say hi or whatever." It doesn't matter if you say hi because he's not going to say hi back. I have seen that dude too. I don't bother to say hi. By the way, I saw him when I was with my kids, and I was like, "Hey, you guys, just so you know, that's Dave Chappelle right there." And we're like, "Who?"
Nice.
So,
suck it, Dave.
yeah. It's not like everybody knows this dude's name or cares. But it's also, I don't know, he's just another asshole celebrity, right? Like, it doesn't matter what town he came from. It matters how much money he's got. It matters what he's doing now. I mean, it matters who he is now, and it seems like he kind of sucks. Like,
yeah.
So, I don't know. I don't know. He's probably always been like that. I would have to agree.
Yeah.
Like, the money didn't make him. Honestly, that town is a little bit on the snooty side anyway. They try and act like they're real down to earth and stuff, and that's cool, but they're not. I've met some of the rudest people there, like the rudest strangers. You have people in your life that are just fucking rude and gross, and you don't like them, but you're stuck with them being in your orbit for
Fucking
some reason.
Magic players.
It's just random ass strangers that are rude as fuck, So like I've met some really rude people there. They're not as kind and down to earth as they seem. It's how he was raised, I'm guessing. And I'm not trying to talk trash about his parents or his family or anything. I'm just saying, like, the atmosphere he was raised in.
No, that's fair. You got to think,
Yeah.
like, because when they were trying to put those, Section 8 apartments in there, right?
They'll never do that in that town. It's never going to happen.
No, and that's because I'm thinking, he was a dick about it, but he was probably the most famous person that was speaking out about it. Like everybody
Nobody
there
wanted
was
that
probably
there.
speaking
Yeah,
out about it.
nobody wanted it there. I guarantee you, nobody wanted
There
it
is a
there.
I've been there.
Yeah, we've been there
And
before.
there is a very
Great place, but just not to live.
palpable, I don't want to say the word tension because that's not quite the right qualifier. Maybe there's a vibe of we're better than you because we think we're better than you.
Yes, very much so. Very much so. When the pandemic first started, I went into a store because I had gone in there, and that whole town was shut down. The masks, everything. You had to be masked up to go anywhere in that town. And that's cool. That's cool. That's fine. I masked to protect you. I respect that. I want to protect you. Why should I be the one that gets you sick? So I go into a store and I ask them if they have a paper mask. They're like, no, we're selling these though, and they're like $5-7. And I was like, I don't have the money for that. They're like, these are handmade. I'm like, okay, that's cool, but I still am not going to spend $5 or $7 on a freaking mask that I can get at the store for $3, if not cheaper. I'm sorry, I get that you put all that time and effort in, but that doesn't mean I want to buy it.
Right.
I'm happy to buy some of your handmade blown glass, happy to buy some of your handmade art, but that's a fucking mask, and they were rude about it. And I was like, and that is the kind of shit that you deal with there, and that's just where he was raised at. They do kind of, you get this feeling that they do very much feel like they're better than everybody else.
Yeah.
Uppity ass hippie fuck.
Yeah, very much so. Very much so.
Not my squad.
But that
out there.
metaphysics shop is fucking awesome. They're really nice there.
I
Not that fucking way.
yeah. I do like that metaphysics shop of like some of the coffee shops and stuff, and but it's not as glamorous or as sweet as it looks there after you go a couple times and you're not just a tourist now, you're a regular visitor. It looks a little different after a while. So yeah. I don't know. I still think Elon Musk was the worst on that part though.
Yeah, he's just an idiot, and he's getting exposed more and more for the idiot that he is every day, and I am here for all of it. I have front row seats with popcorn. Just a couple of notes, because I find it to be concerning while we're talking about Elon Musk, some things that I have yet to fully research, so take it with a grain of salt, but I will finish this research and get back into it. But so some recent updates with Twitter. Elon's trying to get all of his money back. It seems, or it's been reported, that Twitter is going to force data sharing on people and also potentially force GPS tracking. In order for you to have a Twitter, you're going to basically have to share all of your information. So I would be very hesitant if you're currently
I'm happy I ran
surviving
from the hills.
Yeah, if you're
I disabled mine a
without
month ago.
Twitter, stay that way. Because those of us who have built somewhat of a following there are now trying to figure out where to move it to. Because I really just don't think it's going to be there much longer. But in general, be careful with your information, because there is now reports that a lot of the mental health by phone places that you can call have been selling your information to marketing firms. So just
BetterHelp.
be very fucking careful, because now people are getting personalized ads for their very personal, very private mental disorders and issues that they're dealing with, because that information has been sold to Google. So be fucking careful with who you trust your information with. That's all I will say about that. But yeah, Elon's a scrub. He's losing all of his money. He's losing all of his advertisers. He's a complete fucking imbecile. And I just love that everyone gets to watch it in real time. And I love that I got to watch this man who spent 2 decades doing nothing but controlling a PR image that was incorrect by convincing a bunch of people that he was some genius. And now we get to watch it just crumble. It's like it's the Emperor's New Clothes, but like an Andy Kaufman-esque, like real life version. Like we get to watch this fucking moron who doesn't realize he's a moron in real time waste billions of dollars, and I'm shaking out of joy. It's stupid, but like I just love seeing the incompetent wealthy people that have insulated themselves in our society just get fucking shit on in a way that's because he's gonna be fine. He's not gonna lose any sleep. He'll always be a billionaire. the worst thing is his poor little fucking ego will be, well, good. I hope it gets trampled on. I hope you get booed in 14 more stadiums because you're a fucking idiot. How many cities didn't build subway stations because you promised them a goddamn hyperloop, you stupid fuck, and all you gave them was a tunnel that only fits Teslas, and it creates more traffic jams than it solves. You're so fucking stupid. Sorry.
Monorail.
No,
Monorail.
no, I love the rant. Love it.
Fucking idiot.
I'm not impressed with somebody who thinks that they can be, I don't even want to use the word boss, but you know, someone who can command people in an environment where they are the employee, but not know how to fucking talk to people. I think he would be a terrible boss. I would never want to work at Twitter. I would never want to work at Tesla. I would never want to work at any of those companies because he seems like he's just a really terrible fucking boss.
And he encourages burnout.
Yeah. He expects you to devote your life to
Yes.
him because he doesn't have the robots to do it yet. As soon as you devote your life to him, once he has some kind of robotic system, some automated system, which let's face it, he can do. He made the Tesla. If once that happens, you're expendable. You're not going to work there anymore. Like you're going to give your life to this man for no reason whatsoever. Get the fuck out now, in my opinion. I can't see why you would think it was a smart move.
Nope. Unless he throttles the needle on the singularity.
But
Human and machine.
But is he going to take you with him when
No.
he does? Or
No.
is he just going to take the credit? Because it seems like the person he is at this point.
It's all he that's the
That's
only
all he has.
person he's ever been, just
Yeah.
to be clear. Because
I don't think he actually
one-
invented the Tesla.
I was just
did
going
he?
to say one point of correction. He did not invent the Tesla. The only thing he invented about the
It was the
Tesla
name, I thought.
is the charging cord,
That's what it was.
which he
That's
then
weak as
used his money and influence to force, basically, if you want to have a charging station, it's going to be
Mhm.
a Tesla one. So basically, the only thing he did was invent a way for him to corner his market. He didn't invent any
Mhm.
parts of the car that make it what it is. The
He pulled
car
an Apple.
already existed. He bought in. So just a quick backstory: the guy's never invented anything.
Not a
He
single thing.
took his dad's emerald money to buy into a company, X.com, or maybe he helped found the company X.com that eventually merged with the parent company of PayPal. So through a merger, Elon became a founder, in quotes, of
Mhm.
PayPal, which Elon's brilliant ass wanted to call X.com first, not realizing that people would think that was a porn site. Because
Right.
again, he's
Porn.
a fucking
Wow,
moron.
dude.
Right.
So eventually they get to PayPal, right?
Mm-hmm.
He uses his PayPal money to buy into Tesla,
Mm-hmm.
and then again uses his media influence and his emerald money to force the true owners of Tesla out. He buys them out and then does a bunch of PR spin for years,
Mhm.
telling all of us that he invented a fucking electric car, which he did not make.
Motherfucker sounds
He's
like
not
a
made
nightmare.
a goddamn thing. He's never built a
Also-
fucking spaceship. He doesn't.
No.
Which is
Bill
also
Gates
I mean,
didn't
let's
invent
face it,
Windows
yeah.
either.
Engineers do that.
Yeah.
So look up the
Those losers.
statistics of the Teslas that catch fire in people's garages.
12 times
yeah,
the water,
they've been through
I
it.
believe.
Oh, you remember that one Tesla, that guy that used to drive around and made videos while he would like watch movies and while his Tesla was driving him around?
Mm-hmm.
And one day he was watching Harry Potter when the Tesla did not recognize a white box truck as anything other than a cloud, and he went through that white box truck. Yeah, that
Killed
was
him.
at the beginning too.
Yeah.
Elon was in
Yikes.
charge of it back then.
Yep.
They hadn't thought about the color or the lack of color, white. You didn't consider white, huh? Okay.
Well, because this is a guy who the first time as an adult he ever had to sit through traffic, he said, I can solve this for humanity. Why didn't you guys ever think of putting a tunnel underground that only my cars could fit through?
He
That
still
will
talks
solve
about
rush
that
hour.
shit. Yeah, he
That's-
talked about that on Joe Rogan.
Because he's
Mhm.
that fucking dumb, and he's so privileged that it took him 30 years to sit in fucking traffic, and then he's fucking narcissistic enough to believe that none of us have thought about a fucking subway. And then he makes a
Right.
worse version of a fucking subway. The audacity of this man. And people inflate his ego and they think he's intelligent.
Monorail. Monorail.
You know he's working on making tunnels under LA, right?
Yeah.
And so Joe Rogan asked him, he was like, what about all the seismic activity? And Elon Musk was like, no, if there's a earthquake, where you want to be is underground. Is that fucking true? Is that actually fucking true?
I don't.
Or is he blowing smoke like he did with his entire life, apparently?
I feel like when you're that close to a plate, it doesn't really matter.
Right.
Like if you're underground in a tunnel, and then
that would be worse.
I would think it would be
Because
worse.
it could just cause it to collapse.
What does it? What did it? So I guess it all depends on perspective. Would you rather be in the building while it's collapsing, or would you rather the building collapse on top of you? Because
would
to
you
me,
rather
I'd rather be in the sky.
On
I'd
top of the building as it collapses.
I'd rather
That's why I
be.
parked on the.
So you could write it down.
Yeah,
That's why I park
I'd rather be
on
on
the
ground.
top of parking garages.
Just fall
Yeah.
flat down.
Yeah.
It's like Tower 7. Sorry, wrong show.
Witches did it.
So there you have it, folks. Elon is an
Ba-da.
idiot. Dave is a cuck at this point, apparently, for millionaires or billionaires.
Hey, I mean,
Illuminati,
you would say a
maybe.
lot of goofy shit if a guy gave you a jetpack.
Yeah, I'd say a lot of shit.
Yeah,
for
that
$50
wasn't a
million
joke.
or $1 billion. Yeah.
There's
Well,
no
and-
way.
Come on, the Super Illuminati brothers.
Oh, and one more thing about Elon Musk. He decided that he was going to sell flamethrowers online. Very much so did that. They sold out within hours. And then you come to find out they have it like asterisked, not really a flamethrower. But still knowing, and he said he knew it could be really bad, but he was still going to sell these online. That's the man.
Because it's cool.
That's
I thought,
that
like,
dude right
wouldn't
there.
it be really cool if like everyone had a
His
flamethrower?
voice fucks with me. It's
Yeah.
like that one fuckface, Andrew Tate, that one loser. His voice fucks with me too. I'm like, do you guys just make up your accents as you go along? Because it doesn't sound smooth.
You're just
it
mad
doesn't
because
sound
you ain't
the way-
got a Bugatti. Hey, I'm Andrew Tate. You're just fucking stupid.
Don't drop the soap,
no.
Andrew.
Where
Don't drop
to
the soap, sir.
I've
put
never,
a moat.
I've never
cons-
found a shirt
and-
that fit me.
And I'm wonderful. Don't forget that.
Yes.
I'm sure that's got to come out of his mouth
I'm
at
the
least
smartest man ever made.
2
That's what he
million
yells
times
when he
a day.
ejaculates.
Oh,
women,
yeah.
Women are stupid.
Yeah.
All right. Well, on that note, thank you all for joining with us. This was a nice one, a marathon session. We'll be back next time. And until then, like, subscribe, all that cool stuff. We will see you sometime.
Make me a
We'll
s'mores.
figure it out.